right, so the sponsors of the podcast is fightaesthetic.asia. If you use code bjjlifestyle, you'll get 10% off all products except for the Legacy Gi. And a quick shout out to staylean.food on IG. And they do really good chicken protein drinks. It sounds disgusting, but it's actually quite good. So thank you to them as well. All right. So today's guest is Fabio Lim. He's currently the head coach of Tempo Jiu-Jitsu in Hong Kong. And we're just going to get to know him today. So Fabio, thanks for having us on.
No worries, man. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So first question is, how did you get started in Jiu-Jitsu? And where are you from originally?
Yeah, man. I am from Melbourne originally. I was born and raised in Melbourne. Mm-hmm. I started training at a gym called Extreme MMA. Mm-hmm. It was, my cousin was training there originally. Mm-hmm. I started under my first coach, Marcelino Freitas. He's actually over in Yale.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, my cousin got into it. He started for a few months, mm-hmm. and then we used to just like roll in our house and just like wrestle each other. Mm-hmm. Eventually he was like, you got to come down and try this. Yeah. We did. I came down and then, it just kicked off from there. That was about 13, 14 years ago, I reckon.
Wow, that's quite a while ago.
Yeah. A long time.
That guy, Marcelino Freitas, he's really famous as well. Actually, he's one of the lightweight champions, right? He used to be like a really high-level competitor.
Yeah, he's beaten some big names. He beat Bruno Fazzato, mm-hmm. and he had some good good comps with a few people. Mm-hmm. It was really good. Yeah.
And it sounds like you travel quite a lot around the world. I mean, have you been training at different places or have you been working in different countries? What's the story?
I'd say that, I don't know, man. I feel like I haven't really trained too many places. I sort of I was born in Melbourne, lived there most of my life up to about 4 years ago when I moved to Hong Kong. Mm-hmm. So I pretty much went from white to black all the way through into, it was pretty much 2 gyms. So I started at Extreme, and then when I was about blue or purple belt, went to another gym that was closer to me called Immersion MMA, mm-hmm. Under David Marinakis and Ting. Mm-hmm. And then since that, went through to black and then moved to Hong Kong about 4 years ago. Mm-hmm.
And what was the decision to move?
I was working as an engineer. So I studied as a civil engineer, graduated, and started working full-time. Mm-hmm. So I wasn't full-time jiu-jitsu mm-hmm. until pretty recently, I guess.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah. Okay. So I was working full-time, and then eventually I was like, it wasn't really for me. I'd worked 4 or 5 years in professional, and I was like, this isn't really it.
Yeah.
I was like, and then my partner mm-hmm. brought her to Hong Kong. We were doing a little holiday trip, mm-hmm. and we both just we'd always known that we wanted to move somewhere else. Mm-hmm. And she loved it. I was also I'm keen to move somewhere else. And my parents are from Guangzhou.
Okay.
And I wanted to sort of go back a little bit, learn some more Cantonese, which I have not. And then, so we just decided to move there.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
So you're working full-time as a civil engineer in Hong Kong?
No, I was thinking about it. I came across, so I was still working for my Australian company mm-hmm. when I moved to Hong Kong.
Right.
Working remotely. And I was sort of sussing it out, and it just wasn't, I was looking around for jobs mm-hmm. and just for the pay and the work lifestyle coming from Australia to Hong Kong, I was like, I really don't want to do that. So I was just ended up freelancing jiu-jitsu coaching for a while. Yeah, mm-hmm. For about 1 or 2 years, I was just drifting around, coaching a few different gyms. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I heard one of the gyms that you're working at was MGK Fight Club, right?
Yeah. That was it was a short stint, but that really mm-hmm. just led into what Tempo is now. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it was interesting. It was like I said, I was bouncing around gyms. I was only coaching 3, mm-hmm. 4 times a week, at a place called Kowloon Jiu-Jitsu. Yep. And what is it, Fight Club as well. Mm-hmm. Have you been to Hong Kong?
I've been to Hong Kong for a national pro competition before. It was actually a pretty funny story. It was when this guy called Daniel Charles used to be coaching there back in the day.
Yeah.
Big, thick Novalniel Brazilian coach. A few days before I don't know how many years ago it was. I was a blue belt at the time. I had the worst food poisoning I ever had the night before. And I was literally sitting in one of the hospitals with antibiotic IV in my arm. And my coach was like, don't worry about it. You bought the tickets already. You bought the flights. You booked the holidays. Why don't you just come over anyway? And this is while I'm vomiting and coming. I'm basically just just like both ends. And I go, and then I get there. I'm feeling a little bit better. And then Daniel Charles pretty much looks me in the eye and says, if you don't compete, I'm going to kill you. So I'm like, okay, I got no choice.
Wait, he was your coach?
Andrew was my coach.
Oh,
but
right.
they're really good friends. They're both under Noval, right? And then the crazy Brazilian pretty much told me he was going to kill me if I didn't compete. So
yeah.
And to be honest, I mean, I was so dehydrated. I was on weight anyway, so I competed. And yeah, I'm glad I did it, but yeah, I did feel pretty sick. By the time I got to the semifinals, I felt so sick, and I think I lost on points. But yeah, I've been to Hong Kong a couple of times.
Was that Carpe with the...
No, it was a national pro at that time, and then a couple of years I went to the Copa de Hong Kong after that as well.
Oh, okay.
But I've been to a couple of competitions, but I've never trained anywhere in Hong Kong before.
Right. Yeah.
So Tempo, how did that? When did that gym get founded? Actually,
it's hard to sort of pinpoint because it's sort of like rolled in from MGK into Tempo.
Right.
I've been putting it in like August 2021. So about 2 and a bit years now. So like, yeah, I was saying, so it was like, I was at MGK. So it's like, I was freelancing for a little bit, and then guy sort of like, he was opening up a gym, MGK, and he just needed someone to sort of manage it and coach jiu-jitsu. So I started that. And that was, I mean, it was already open for like, sort of like 8 months. It was like during peak COVID, decided to open up. He found a cheap rent, and well, it wasn't really cheap, but yeah. And then, so that didn't work out. But as it was closing down, they just didn't have any money. So he couldn't afford to pay me. And I was like, why don't, instead of me running classes as MGK, since you can't really continue running it, why don't you let me hire the mats and I'll continue running the classes. But I'll run it under my own sort of thing. That's how I started Tempo. So we started in the old gym, and that soon closed down. And I started like hiring out of different places. Sort of people still wanted to train, still had some students, and so we started at a few different places. And then a few months after that, I had a friend that his name's Simon. He's an artist, and he had this painting studio, which he effectively wasn't using. And he was like, "Hey man, just during COVID, like." The gym, he'd heard the gym was closed down. He's like, if you need a space, you can sort of use that temporarily. And then after that, we sort of expanded through there.
Right.
Yeah.
Perfect timing pretty much then.
Yeah. So I like that, all right.
Yeah, it's quite cool. So the one thing I've heard about Hong Kong, well, the culture in Hong Kong is it's kind of frowned upon to train at different places. But I think like Tempo kind of breaks that mold a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know where that culture came from, but it's really weird because like I used to have that here as well, where certain students wouldn't want to be in the group photos.
Oh yeah.
And I heard it's kind of similar in Hong Kong as well.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Yeah.
It's just so different. Like I'd been training in Melbourne where, be warehouses. So it'd be like 56 people in the class. Yeah. People would train with each other. So like my coach would train like with Lockie and Kit and all these guys in Melbourne. There's no sort of like gym wars type of thing. And then I moved to Hong Kong where it was like the spaces would be like this size. So it'd be like, 6 people in a class. And like there's so many gyms that are so close together. It's like just in like a 2K radius, there's like 12 gyms, but no one really trains together. So there are some gyms that like they allow it, but there are definitely some gyms where like they want, like the students would want to come train, but they're like,
they got to be kind of like weird.
Yeah.
That's a really weird culture.
So I would say that it's shifting a little bit. I obviously don't do that. I don't mind if anyone trains anywhere. It's nice to have people with different skills and that sort of thing come across.
It's a bit strange that,
But you found that in Thailand as well when you were in...
Sometimes. Myanmar was the same as well, actually. There's only a few gyms in Myanmar. Very, 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 very small amount of gyms. I think there's like 2 or 3. The problem with the other gym was there's a guy that used to train in Axis in Tokyo. He's a Burmese guy. But the problem was the students that you were training from was from the Karate Federation. And if you're part of like a sports federation, you're extremely tribal. And they make it very difficult for you to train at other places. Or if you want to, you can't be on those photos because you get in trouble by the federation heads, basically.
Oh, right.
Because it's like sports federation or like that country sports federation, so it gets a little bit weird. But I mean, it is what it is, unfortunately. I can understand in Hong Kong as well because it's such a small place and like gyms are so close together. People are pretty tribal when it comes to clients, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's sort of where it comes from.
So how do you find living in Hong Kong so far?
I'm loving it, man. It's been good. So I've been there for like 4 or 5 years. I mean, me and my partner, we're fortunate that we're living in the city, so we live like one stop away from Central. I've got a really nice setup where I live on the road where my gym is on. So like I just walk down like 5 minutes and that's the gym, and I can walk back. Yeah, it's near Central, so it's like where like bars and good restaurants are. I find it's nice, it's like convenient. A lot of the students and my mates, like we all live really close together. So if we want to go out, we can go out. Trainings, pretty decent.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Quite a lot of gyms pop up there quite often, and like for example, I think there's a Carpe Diem now in Hong Kong, right? Yeah,
that's a pretty new gym that sort of opened up. Less than like maybe 6 months ago.
Yeah. It's pretty funny. I actually found the owner's is a guy called Alex. He was actually looking for like full-time coaches because I think he only had 4 brown belt coaches, but then their schedule didn't work out very well. And at the time, I have a friend called JB, who's like a French guy that used to train jiu-jitsu in Hong Kong. I met him back in like 2017 in a gym in Yokohama, and I just liked his vibe. We always kept in touch with each other. And I remember he moved to Phuket to coach and train at Temple. Phuket, yeah. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he announces that the gym's going to shut down. Apparently, the landlords pretty much sold the land from underneath him. And basically, he kind of like messaged me saying, "Look, Mac, I don't feel like building another gym up from scratch. I haven't had a day off for the last 5 months running that gym. Do you know anybody?" And whenever a new gym pops up and I see it on social media, I usually just contact the gym, just like casually saying, "Hey, could we put you on the BJJ directory?" And then sometimes they just keep on talking. And then this Alex guy was like, "Mike, do you know anybody that might want the job?" So then I just thought, okay, yeah, I actually do know somebody. So then JB ended up moving to Hong Kong. And Temple ended up shutting down permanently, unfortunately.
Yeah. I've never been to Temple, but I'd always seen it on Instagram. It's like they just have that picturesque shot where they span from like these mats and then onto like the top of the trees. But it's funny, Phuket's an interesting place when it comes to gyms. There's quite a lot of politics go down. I mean, JB easily. It's funny because I know sort of both sides of that story together. So like I know Alex and the guys that like sort of trained with him because they were sort of gymless for a little bit, so they were training with me at Tempo. And then now that JB's come across, he's been doing some training as well. And I've been chatting with him. He's a funny guy.
He is actually pretty funny.
Yeah, and he's got stories for days about some of the stuff he's seen. It's hilarious.
The
lawless.
Yeah, it really is lawless there, but it's interesting. I think good things have come out of it though. Out of the COVID lockdowns and stuff like that, a lot of new gyms have popped up in Phuket. And man. Some of them are actually thriving now.
I haven't trained much there, but I've got so many students that pop down to Phuket pretty often, and they tell me such good things about like PGA and Bangtown stuff.
We actually did an interview with Ben Royal once. I thought it'd be like a really easy interview, but I just find that he's a really good coach, but he's not much of a talker.
Right.
So like when we first started out, it was like he was a little bit shy at first, but the episode was okay eventually. But if you're gonna train anywhere, it's either there, or I would recommend Southside. Or Bangtao if you want to be close to the airport.
Right.
So last time you were here was in Phuket. You went for ADCC, right?
Yeah, it was an ADCC Championship or Open. I can't remember what they called it, but it was. That was recent. That was like three weeks ago. 2 weeks. Yeah.
How was it? How's the venue? How's the?
Man, it's great. I really liked it.
How many people were in your division?
In my div, I think it was like 8 or. I don't know, 8 or 9. I mean, I had 3 fights.
That's a good number.
Yeah, from qualifying to finals. But the venue, the whole thing was really nice. It was like the first time I'd stayed like at the competition venue because it was run out of the hotel.
Oh, right. Okay.
And it was so nice just like being like, I was like literally staying on the floor below it. So it's like, I had some students that I brought down to go compete. So like they'd go compete. I could then go downstairs, have a quick nap for my fight. Like it was actually, and then the whole setup was
it looked really nice.
Really nice, good lighting, and like I like the how it was run.
It was 2 mats, right?
Mine?
No, was it like 2 mats?
Oh, 2 mats. It was 2 mats. 2 mats. 1 day. So they really, it was a long day. So like if you wanted to do like the Open and thing, you would have been waiting there for a long time. But yeah.
Yeah, that's not too bad. So I don't know if you know this, but you know there's trials in Bangkok, right?
I didn't know. Like I'm not looking that close to it, but I thought the Oceania trials was done. I thought it was a one and done, but apparently
I thought so too. But then I got a message from there's a guy called Shinya that used to run Synergy. Yeah.
No, you mean the ADCC ref, the head ref?
The head ref, head organizer. He used to be based in Singapore, basically. He messages me out the blue, and he says, Maxan, could I do the referee's seminar on the 10th of May at Arete? Because he wanted to do it the last time they did it in Bangkok.
Yeah.
But it was kind of last minute. It was supposed to be at Rangsit, and I don't know if you know how far Rangsit is from here, but it's like 40 kilometers. Right, so it's super far away. Yeah. So last minute they tried to change it, but people signed up already, so they couldn't. And they promised me the next time they would do it at Arete. So they said, "Is 10th of May okay?" And I said, "Yep, that's no problem. Is it just another Bangkok Open?" And he says, "No, it's Asian trials."
So they just decided to do another one, or is that always the case?
I think basically for Asian trials, I think just because it's growing and there's so many regional competitions now, they're just doing 2 for each region. So for example, Europeans, there's 2 now.
Yeah.
So I think they're going to do the same for Asians. But I always assumed it was either going to be Australia, Tokyo, or Singapore, just because
the second,
logistically it seems to make more sense. And traditionally they've always done it Australia, Japan, or Singapore, right?
Yeah.
But it looks like they're going to do the trials in May. So
that's very interesting. Yeah, I love that. I mean, I've never really met Shinya, but I love that guy. He was the ref for my the 3 fights that I had.
Oh, really? Yeah. He's a no nonsense guy, and he definitely gets shit done for sure.
Yeah. I remember in the finals, the guy was wrestling like he did like legs. You know the leg stop pass where you kick the leg and you try to like leg drag him.
Yeah.
He did that, and he warned the guy, and then he gave him a penalty for the second time. Well, I thought it was perfectly fine. I'm like, I'll take the extra point if you're gonna give it.
Yeah. So yeah, it looks like the trials are going to be here on May 11th. I don't know where the venue is. I'm kind of guessing probably the venue is going to be in Rangsit because just everything's already set up for the place. Like, I mean, you were there for AJP, right?
Oh, is that where Rangsit is?
That's the venue. Yeah.
Oh, the uni.
Yeah, at that university. Yeah, they usually do all the Thai local competitions there as well. Good Wi-Fi, the mats, and it's free to use. It's a big place.
It's a really big place.
So it kind of makes sense. Yeah,
I remember getting out of the venue was a pain.
Yeah, because you go into campus and then in the evening when you try and take a taxi, it's just like really difficult.
Yeah, for like an hour. Yeah. But it's a good venue. Yeah, that's exciting, man. I saw it the other day. I was like, I wasn't sure. Someone was saying those trials. Like, hey, it's done. It's the trials. It's like you've got to wait another couple of years.
Sounds like it's going to be the 11th, but I'll have to confirm where the venue is, basically. But then they're definitely going to do the ref seminar on the 10th in Bangkok, and at Arjun, which is going to be pretty awesome. Yeah. So, what was your most memorable match at ADCC, would you say?
I mean, for sure, I was most pumped about the fight with Deagle.
Yeah.
Deagle. I'd met him last year? He came to Hong Kong for seminar. I mean, I've always followed his stuff. So
me too.
Yeah, like he's obviously a great leg lock guy and all around. But I think he'd signed up and he was my division. That was probably like the fight. I was like, oh yeah, this would be really fun to see how that goes. And obviously worked out all right. So, yeah.
Which round was it actually?
Was it the first round? Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's all downhill after that, I guess, right?
I know him, and like it was like we'd not rolled together before, but obviously, I mean, it's just like with any high level guy, you just want to fight, like see how it goes with the top level guy. And I was thinking in my head, I was like, it'd be nice with the finals, but it'd also be really nice if it was just the first round, and I could just guarantee the fight.
So. What was I going to say? Oh yeah. So, do you see much has changed in Asia since you've been here, and what stands out to you in terms of maybe how jiu-jitsu spread?
I don't. It's hard to exactly tell because I guess I've been in Asia and Hong Kong for like 4 or 5 years. But the first 4 years I wasn't doing any traveling just with COVID and stuff. So it was just in Hong Kong. So I mean, sort of like we've already sort of touched on Hong Kong and jiu-jitsu in Hong Kong. I found was a little bit behind with the non-cross training, but also like a product of like smaller space, like less younger guys, I guess, because I guess I'm training in Central, so it's mostly like professionals and stuff.
Yeah.
So I can only tell mostly for Hong Kong, but in the last year, since things have been open, like traveling and competing. I haven't done too much training, but I have stopped by like Taiwan Jiu-Jitsu, you know, like doing some comps in Thailand and stuff. I mean, it's hard to say like how much it's changed, but what I do really like so far is like, similar how we were just discussing, like in Southeast Asia at least, it just sort of feels like there's so much connection between different gyms in different countries. Even like Singapore, like I did train at like Evolve and like getting to know like the Evolve guys, and like they come. There's so much travelers coming back and forth.
Yeah, we've got like a which gym is it? Oh, there's a gym called Fama in Singapore. We have an old teammate that used to train there, and basically, after the lockdowns, one of the co-coaches there contacted us, and they wanted to do this kind of like deal where, let's say, for example, in any given year, if you're a member of a rete, you can go and train at Fama for free 12 times a year, and vice versa, basically. Yeah. And we just do that each year, and we just renew it each year, basically. Oh, right. And that's kind of like made it quite nice where the gyms kind of get to know each other a little bit as well. Yeah. Because
that sort of happened naturally so far without any sort of like, I don't know, structure for it. Yeah. Just like having guys come down and they like it and they keep coming. And then if I'm over there, like I might go train there. Yeah. But I like that idea. I mean, maybe we're going to talk to you more about it after this. I mean, like, what's the best way to set this up? Because it's really, I like, the cross-training stuff is cool across countries.
Yeah, because we do get, I mean, Bangkok especially, everyone wants to come to Bangkok and train, right? And usually when they're in Bangkok, usually it's for business trips usually. So it's usually either Hong Kong or Singapore, by and large, they tend to come and visit. Oh, if it's people going on holidays, they'll tend to go down to Phuket more, yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's right.
Yeah. So how would you evaluate the current trends in jiu-jitsu right now, and where do you see the sport progressing?
It's a tough one, man. I think my focus in the last couple of years has just been like sort of trying to catch up a little bit to what the top guys are doing. Yeah. So more or less just like following the top guys and copying what they're doing. Yeah. In terms of like, you know, some of the training stuff and like modernizing like the way we teach, the curriculum. Like we don't really do any sort of warm-ups, like in terms of like.
I totally cut that out.
Yeah, don't do that as well?
I can't even begin to tell you how much I fucking hate warm-ups.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's say you have a fundamentals program and it's like white belts only. It's completely fine, right? Like do the shrimps, the forward rolls, the break falls, all that kind of stuff, right? But then like, how long is that? And usually that's like 10 to 15 minutes of time, right? And how long is a class on average, right? 1 hour to an hour and a half, right? Yeah. You're wasting so much time. If it's an all levels class, why are you doing that basically, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly. Like. And even it's just sort of really reminded me, like now, that, like I've been over, like I've been in Thailand, just sort of holidaying for the last couple of weeks, and like I've been looking at some classes, being like, oh yeah, you know, it'd be nice to sort of roll again. But I look at the class, like it's an hour. Then probably do warm ups, like 15 minutes of like a few like rolls. Like, do I really want to do that in my holidays? I'm like, nah, I'm waiting.
It depends on who the teachers are as well. It's pretty funny because. I'm not going to name the gym, but I was on a holiday up north, Chiang Mai, and I visited a couple of gyms there. And there's one gym where it was a 50-minute warm-up, and it was yoga. And yeah, don't even get me started. Right. Yeah, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? And after that, I was just thinking, why are we doing that? Yeah. And then I remember I came back down, and an Aussie guy. I think he trains with Lachlan, really good guy. But he was on holiday for a month with his partner, and he told me he went up to Chiang Mai. And I kind of wanted to ask him, did he train when he was up there? And he said, yeah, I did. And he said, I would train at this place and this place. And I just said, how's this? That gym? And he said, yeah, it was a 30-minute yoga session. and he just said, how do these gyms expect to catch up to all these like the modernized countries, right? Yeah. If they're gonna do this shit. And I totally agreed with him on that one.
I'm definitely gonna ask you after because I was in Chiang Mai. Like a week and a bit ago. Yeah. I did one session, but it was an open mat, and I sort of come late anyways. Yeah. And it was just rolling, so it was so nice. It was I don't even remember what the name of the gym is, but it's a guy that used to train in Hong Kong, got his black belt in Hong Kong. So I knew some of the guys. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. If I was going to recommend a gym, it'd be called Gato. One of my old Burmese student trains there. So it's a black belt called Bank. His English isn't the best, but for some reason, he used to train at Team Quest Thailand, but that gym kind of closed down, and then he opened up this little gym space called Gato Studio. He's the only coach there, but probably is the best in terms of like the most high level guys train there basically.
Right. Oh,
I would highly recommend that place.
Yeah, I like Chiang Mai though.
It is pretty nice and chill, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like in Bangkok, it's a little bit more faster paced, so the gyms are a little bit more like busier, and there's a lot more gyms around Bangkok, etc. But Chiang Mai is a little bit more like chilled out.
Definitely feels a bit.
So there's only like 2 or 3 gyms there basically now.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is growing for sure there, and I think he runs the program with the Chiang Mai University as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
right.
so it's pretty cool. Yeah. Have you visited any other gyms in Bangkok?
I haven't trained once in Bangkok before.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I popped down to your gym, but like, so I think after the AJP last time, day after, I think because we were staying around the corner. Yeah. I think we were walking down.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the radius here. So I want to see what it's like, but I didn't have anything. I was like, that was after.
Just came up to say hello, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. Just checked out. It was like a nice space. Like, yeah. But I'd be keen to do some training. I mean, definitely at like your place. Heard good things. I've seen a bit of like Bangkok Fight Lab. Yeah,
they're based on it as well. It's kind of weird actually. There's another gym called Pom Gym there as well. That area seems to be coming up in terms of local Thais living around there.
Yeah. Right.
So there's just with the BTS station, if you walk down, Bangkok Fight Lab is there, and if you go in the other direction, there's like a gym run by Korean black belt as well.
Oh, right.
It's called Pom Gym, yeah, but I think it's more like MMA / Jiu-Jitsu. So it's very much kind of like MMA grappling, I think it is.
Yeah.
And then there's now a Carpe Diem in Ceylon, which is kind of like the central business district.
Is that new?
Yes, it's very new actually.
Expanding.
Yeah, they are aggressively.
Yeah.
I think the last I spoke to Ishikawa, I think it was a few months ago, and he was on branch 37 or 38, and he was here teaching for a week at the gym. And I think now he must be on like 39 or 40 now, because he keeps on announcing new gyms everywhere in Japan.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how well he's doing actually. Yeah.
Oh, he's the...
so Yuki Ishikawa is the founder.
Yeah, right.
So basically, you have all these gyms just saying, can we be under you? Yeah. And I think, to be honest, instead of actually, I think he's more franchising more than anything else.
Yeah.
But it is a good brand.
It's a good brand. It sounds like it's a pretty decent deal. It's got a good rep.
And they have certain standards as well. Like for example, the guy that's teaching at Carpe Diem Bangkok, for example, he's originally from Kuching in Malaysia, and he was teaching at another gym in Japan. And when his time was up, he was going to move back to Malaysia, but then he actually gave a shout out to Ishikawa and asked if he can get a job at Carpe Diem. So the way it works is if you're going to open up a gym in a different country, you've got to train for 2 months at HQ, which is Aoyama. Do you know the HQ in Aoyama is the one with the green and yellow mats in Tokyo, the Carpe Diem?
I don't think I've seen it. Yeah.
But basically, you've got to teach and train there for 2 months before you like run the gyms, basically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So they have certain strict standards.
Did do that? Did JB do that?
JB. That's a really good question, actually. No, I think Alex was so desperate for a coach, they did a quick Zoom call and then he got sent over immediately.
Yeah, right.
But I think given the chance, I think he probably will go to Japan to learn a little bit. But yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah. So how many coaches do you have at Tempo? Is it just you?
I teach the majority of classes. I teach probably like 80% of the classes.
Okay. How many is that? How many is that?
We've got... It's not. I wouldn't say it's a full schedule. Pretty close to it. For most days we have like 3 classes a day. So we just have the morning, lunch, and night. Sometimes on Mondays I haven't filled it out, so we don't have a Monday morning class yet because I'm just sort of waiting to sort of like really fill out the rest of the morning classes. So before I like sort of open up more. For the most part, it's a pretty full schedule. But yeah, it's myself. I've got a coach called Soon Lee, and Liam. Who both helped me take some classes as well. Yeah. And over the last like sort of year, I've had some people just help me out with taking some classes here and there. Yeah. But it's mostly been myself, Soon, and Liam taking most of the classes.
That was pretty much a rate when we reopened up in Tonglao as well. I think I was taking 13 classes and helping out with kids classes. And then the other coach, Achilles, was like doing, so basically like there's morning. I don't know about you, but if I teach the morning classes, like waiting all the way until the evening classes is quite quite tiring. So the way we set it up with coaches is if they do the morning classes, they'll take a couple of afternoon classes. If you're going to do the evening classes, you'll take a couple of the afternoon classes. Yeah. And it seems to work out a little bit better.
Yeah, that's what makes sense. But like I said, like I'm on the same road, so I'm like, I'm in and out. After class, I'm back home. Yeah, and then like in between like morning and lunch, and just sort of luckily Soon and Liam, they both live they're like a 8-minute walk away from the gym as well. So
that's not too much stress, but So in terms of ratio, how much gi and how much no gi is it at tempo?
I think we're close to 50-50. I think we have slightly more no-gi classes than gi. And then we've got a few sort of open mat sessions where I'll be like gi and no-gi. But I think we have a few more no-gi guys than gi. I sort of just like run it. I mean, I'm just, the whole way that I'm doing it, the timetable and what we do is basically just on demand. And like if I'm seeing more, I think because we've slightly got more no-gi guys and guys and girls. So we're doing a little bit more no-gi.
Right, okay.
But it's like shifting. Like I sort of see where it's going. I feel like there's more and more people wanting to do no-gi.
It was the same with Arete as well. Back in the old building, Biohouse days, there was one no-gi class a week, and that was on like a Friday evening. And traditionally in Thailand, Friday is the start of the weekend. The traffic is, after 4 p.m., the traffic is god-awful. So no one wants to go anywhere. No one wants to like come to class just because like they know it's going to take like an hour to get to class. Yeah. Right? Yeah. And the way the area was set up, it was like a one-way road down to the building. So nobody wanted to come on a Friday. So the no-gi class used to be really quiet. But like when we reopened in Tonglo, to be honest, like in Myanmar, like basically like getting a gi is hard enough. Affording a gi is even harder. Oh, yeah. And with the way inflation went when the military took over, it's almost impossible to afford a gi. So no gi's kind of been the mainstay in Myanmar. And by the time I came back to Thailand as well, I preferred no gi to gi. So once I became one of the owners, I said, look, can we add a few more no gi to the curriculum? And the original owners are a little bit skeptical at first, but now the no gi evening classes are just as busy as the gi classes, which I'm really happy about. Yeah. And for a short period as well, actually, when you came for that AJP, we had a Scottish coach coming in called Jack as well. Yeah. Right. Yeah, I remember him. He's actually back in Glasgow now. Oh, okay. He's actually originally a policeman. Yeah. Yeah. And but he wanted to travel around the world a little bit with his wife. Oh, so it was a temporary coach. He wasn't. Yeah. I would have him back in a second if I could, but he ran out of money, and his wife went to go finish her master's degree. So they went back to Glasgow, and then after probation, probational teaching is over, they're thinking of moving back to Asia. So cool. Fingers crossed in that regard. Yeah. Because I think I had a friend that sort of fought him in the I don't know if it was the finals. I think it was finals in the HP, and I was keen to see if I could roll and be. Jack's extremely good, and he's a great teacher as well. Yeah. I heard I think I remember someone saying there was more of a no-gi guy, like a leg lock guy as well. He hates teaching the gi. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Because he was traveling around and he was in Phuket for a bit, and he just I met him back because my mother's half Scottish, so I would go and train there when I went to go visit my mother in Glasgow. And my mother lived down on the south side of Glasgow, and there's a gym called Marcus Nardini, and that's where Jack was. And when I met him there, he was only a purple belt, but I just thought, oh wow, this guy's really cool. Yeah. So if I meet nice people, I tend to stalk them, not in a creepy way, but like if I can see people that seem to be really cool, I'll keep an eye on them basically. And when I saw him traveling around at the time, I just kept in touch with him. How's Thailand? How's living in Zimbabwe or wherever he is? Yeah, right. And then he said, mind giving me a wee job for a little while? And I was like, yeah, no problem. And he stayed for like 7 months, and everyone just fell in love with him. Yeah. So if he decides to come back to Thailand, I'll snatch him up as soon as possible. Yeah. 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 I think. So you now you feel like the no-gi. Is this in Bangkok? Do you feel like? Because I mean, you've got like Robert D, or you've got Tyler. I think it looks like that. Is Bangkok? Is that all no-gi? No, it's 50-50 now. I think Tyler's running 5 or 6 no-gi classes a week, and then there is gi classes as well now. Okay. Yeah. So there's 2 gi coaches, and then there's 1 no-gi coach. And Tyler's teaching at BFL, and then Deagles was teaching at Ohana for a little while, but I think he likes to teach at various places. Yeah, right. And he might be opening a space in Nana. Oh, okay. Called The Track, I think it's called now. Right, he's been teaching at I don't even know what you call it. I think it's like a kids calisthenics school or like a tumbling school or whatever. It's in Açaí, but they teach kids classes in the evenings, but I think they do like morning nogi classes as well. So nogi is definitely growing in Bangkok.
Yeah. I'd say the same in Hong Kong. I feel like when I first arrived, I think it was mostly gi.
Yeah.
There's a lot of gyms that were doing maybe like sort of similar to you saying, like one no-gi just to throw it in there in the mix. And then the last couple of years, I don't really know how it sort of came about, but I think people tell me that they think that I'm mostly a no-gi guy.
Yeah.
And that they see Tempo as like a no-gi gym. I think it's just mainly because in comparison to other gyms, we do like 50-50. But I think for the first like 10 years of training, I was mostly gi. And it's only in the last like 4 or so years that I like really started doing more no-gi. And now, now I definitely prefer it. Like,
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
You can pack lighter as well, for sure.
Yeah.
So another question I want to ask is, you've done a little bit of traveling, not as much as you'd like to, but which country do you think is the fastest growing in terms of grappling in Asia right now?
Yeah, man, it's tough to tell. Like I feel like, Japan is the one I feel like to really catch up to in terms of Asia. Like I said, I'm just so focused on trying to bring Hong Kong, and like I've been there for 4 or 5 years, and that's really been like trying to focus on like being there, trying to train up a little bit. I've dipped into places like, I've seen like a bit of like China, and I've seen some of the guys come down. The guys in Shanghai seem to be doing pretty well. We just recently had a comp run by Four Straps by a guy called JK in Hong Kong. And he sort of did like a intercity thing, which he just started. So I don't think he had like as much pull as it should, but like it was really cool that he brought some guys down from China who did a little competition in Hong Kong. And some of the Shanghai guys look pretty good. Not super surprising. I think one of the guys that won it, I think he was from Method MMA, which is where like Joseph trains.
Yeah.
So it's like, and the fact that Joseph's there as well is pretty cool. But yeah, I've been pretty impressed with some of the Asian countries, like going to Singapore, trained a little bit with like Coco and like the Lim brothers and stuff, and that was really good training. So I was like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like I said, I haven't trained here, but I'd love to.
Yeah.
Is
there a Hong Kong national team by any chance?
No,
there isn't.
No, that's something that like I've met a few people who've really tried to push it, just like with stuff like Asia Games and stuff like that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I come from Australia. I didn't know what the Asia Games was, and didn't know sort of why, like the idea or the point of like a national team. Yeah. But coming to Asia and seeing like what you get, I think it's like you get like if you win Asian Games, you get like a salary ongoing for like
you get paid. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I think the big incentive I'm seeing is like from the guys that I talk to, like setting up a national team. It's being like having a jiu-jitsu team, because we don't have a Hong Kong jiu-jitsu team that can compete in Asia Games. But I think from what I've heard, I used to train with a guy called Viking. And
Viking Wong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. He used to teach at Arete for a little while back in the day.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he did.
Right. Yeah. He was there. I think he was. I don't remember how long he was there, but he was really trying to push to get to Hong Kong national team. And then by the end of it, he was just like, it's never going to be done. Like, it's just so difficult. There's so many, like,
so much red tape.
So much red tape that, like, he just thought it's going to be so tough. There's guys trying to do it now. We've got, like, a Hong Kong Jiu-Jitsu Association. They're trying to push it. Again, I think the way the Vikings sort of described it was, like, one of the main benefits. This, from what I understood, was, like, if you can get onto that, you can get funding for cheaper rent, which I think is, like, one of the biggest hurdles, at least for Hong Kong.
Yeah.
It's, like, it's the reason why gyms are so small.
Exactly. Same with Japan as well.
Yeah, that's why membership is so high, and that's why it's only like generally more professionals than it is like the younger guys coming up. So I could see how that could be really beneficial and really like open up the sport more. And just like I generally feel like in Hong Kong, like a lot of parents would be like, well, I'd rather put my kid in like fencing or whatever, like it's because I can see where that can go. Whereas like, what is jiu-jitsu and like
exactly.
Yeah. So they're pushing for it. I'm sort of just focused on my own thing and just sort of seeing if I can get like guys competing and going to worlds and going to like ADCC trials and that sort of thing. But yeah, I can sort of see how that can be really helpful.
Yeah. So I've got some friends in the Philippines, and the national team, they've got like, I don't know what it is about the Philippines, but I think they get free visas to the US or maybe for some reason. But the national team, they always go and train at Atos.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So they have the Philippine Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Association or whatever it's called. So basically, I think it's run by Atos Philippines now. So they get to go and train with Andre Galvao pretty often. I've got a few friends in the national team, so they can go back and forth, train, and then compete at. They can compete at like a lot of the Asian games basically, and they do a really good job. But obviously, travel funding, everything is funded by the IOC, right?
Yeah.
Same with Thailand as well. So quite recently, I think the national team went to Korea. I don't know which teams they went to go train at, but they went a trip to Korea to like cross train with the Korean national team.
Yeah.
And I spoke to Ishikawa about it, about Japan, and the guy that runs runs the association in Japan is, I can't remember the guy's name, but he runs the Access Jiu-Jitsu Association, and for some reason he never made a national team. So I think depending on the country and who runs it, some people are interested in making a national team, and some teams aren't basically, or some countries aren't basically.
Yeah.
Like for example, Cambodia, it's just a tiny little country, but they've got like they're kind of pushing for a national team basically. Like Laos as well, they've got a tiny little team, but they are pushing for it as well.
Yeah.
Malaysia just started a national team. Thailand's got a good national team. Philippines has got a good national team. I tried to build one in Myanmar, but then the military took over, so it's going to be a few years before we can do that.
Yeah.
And the problem is, like a lot of the Burmese people, I don't think they'd like to raise the flag currently under the regime.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So it is what it is.
Yeah. No, I see. I mean, like, I think the biggest draw for me would be just having, just cross training, I guess. It's just like having the guys that want to compete come together and train together. Mm-hmm. And I think like almost unofficially, I wouldn't say it's no national team, but like what is happening like at least at Tempo so far is like we are sort of getting more guys that want to compete sort of come just for like informal sessions, just like open mats and just like training a little bit more together. Mm-hmm. Just like, because like I said, like they're small gyms and it's hard enough to get sort of higher belts in the smaller gym, but then having higher belts that actually want to actively go compete, we're young, want to do hard training, that's fine if you maybe have like a couple at each gym. Mm-hmm. Just having them come together just sort of makes sense if we want to achieve more, I guess.
What do you think makes Tempo that kind of place where like a lot of people are coming together to train now?
I think at least at the start, because I sort of did 2 years, like I said, 2 years before Tempo opened, and I was training at a couple of different gyms. Mm-hmm. So, I say that I started Tempo like 2 years ago, but I think a lot of what helped the groundwork for Tempo was just like going around, knowing the community, knowing sort of like high level guys. I myself was just like wanting to train before. I wasn't even thinking about coaching. I wasn't planning on opening a gym, and just like trying to find partners that we could be train with. And so, I think opening Tempo, we had a lot of visitors coming through from the people like from who I knew. Mm-hmm. And then I think sort of like going around and doing like AJP and like there are definitely a lot of gyms that would have people go over, but I think it's nice to have like a group of us go together. And it's sort of, I think it's sort of pushing that, if you're in Hong Kong, like we can train together. Like before Asian Open this year, we had a lot of guys that were coming to visit, and I think that sort of helped perpetuate just like, okay, we've got visitors coming in. If you want sort of hard training, like good rounds, like people were just coming together. Yes, and that was a really good environment. Like, we're having people from like 5-6 different gyms. Still like they're still there and they're just visiting. But it was really good training.
Because I always heard it was really closed off a few years ago. Like if you train there, you can't train there, stuff like that. You still get that a little bit in Thailand as well. But I think it's more to do, when it comes down to it, it's usually just money, right? Yeah, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. But it also, I feel like, also with COVID, like because we didn't have any international comps, and this is no one's fault, but like we just had interclub competitions. And it was awesome because we had like I said, it's like JK from Four Stripes running these sort of events where it'd be like, you from your gym versus him from his gym, and they would fight. But I think with like not having a bigger comp in mind, it's sort of like you don't really want to cross train as much. Yeah. And then again, like once it opened up and Asia Open is like coming like, okay, let's come together. That was like, okay, let's cross train again more.
So what's your future plans and goals right now?
I mean, I was thinking about it this like end of last year, like thinking about what I want to do, and but I'm 30. I'm in Masters Division now.
Yeah,
and like that was 4 years ago. I was still working full time as an engineer.
Yeah.
Didn't really have time. Like I haven't done worlds or any like major comps, and now I'm thinking to myself at least like, even if I don't achieve me like world champ or whatever, even as from a coaching perspective, I feel like throwing myself out there at like the highest level and doing that is something that I want to have the at least experience.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like this year, or maybe like either this year or next year, like it would be probably a good time to like push for as many comps as I can before my body starts to break down and I can't do anything anymore. So I'm thinking this year, next year, more comps. I was going to sit down and sort of list out which comps I wanted to do. I mean, now if you just tell me that trials is coming, I'm like, fuck, maybe because I was thinking like if it's going to be trials in like 2 years time, then maybe I should be looking at doing like maybe worlds and doing gi for the next 6 months, and then nogi was
it's like 4 months away. Well, just over 4 months away, right?
Yeah. Because I was like, oh well, in like if there's no nogi comps, then the one nogi worlds IBJJF is like in the end of the year. Maybe I'll do like a period of gi, because we've got some guys that want to do gi as well. Yeah. We don't have as much people. It's not as much of a luxury to like split us. Like if we're doing gi, we all pretty much need to do gi. Like the guys that are training with us.
Exactly. Yeah.
But man, maybe things will change. Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool to do it, right?
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah. What was the weight class for ADCC Phuket? Was it like the traditional weight classes?
It was the traditional weight class. I think the lower belts had some some middle ones.
So you have to weigh in under 66.
Yeah, I was 66. Yeah. So cut a little bit for that, but it actually wasn't too bad.
No, it's not too bad.
Yeah.
I did the first one. I think it was like last year November. I tend to be a bit of a once you sign and you pay, I tend to get that feeling in your stomach like, fuck, now it's real, right?
Yeah.
So by the time I actually got down to Phuket and cut weight the night before, I was like 64 kg already. So I was actually quite surprised about that.
What do you mean? You're finding 66 and cut all the way down to 64?
Yeah, by the time I stepped on the scale, I was like 64. I was quite shocked about that. Yeah. So I had a good meal the night before.
I usually walk around like 71, 72, but I find that like I'm just like coaching and training so much that it's quite easy. If I don't stuff myself each meal, like I'm dropping weight already.
Yeah, pretty quick.
But yeah.
But it's interesting. Like what I find with ADC, like it's great that the ADCC has come to Thailand now, but what I found was really interesting was like since the guy that runs it lives down in Phuket and trains at PGA, I was looking at the numbers for the past few events that they've done, and the numbers never go past 200. And I was kind of shocked about that.
Yeah, right.
But then when they did an ADCC in Bangkok, the numbers were like 363, which is quite. The numbers are pretty good for the signups if it's Bangkok, but for some reason for Phuket it's like 150 or 170, and I was like trying to figure out why that was. I think it's because like down in Phuket it's MMA as well, right? So the guys are going to do grappling. Like I think since you do MMA as well, I think it's a little bit more tribal in terms of like you don't want to lose face, like winning or losing comps down there.
Yes, you're not just jumping in it for the sake of it.
Exactly. And number two, I think it's the fact that, well, for the kids. What I found was the kids' matches, usually for normal competition, is like 2 or 3 minutes, right? But it's exactly the same as the adult matches. 5 minutes, no point. You have to fight for another 2.5 minutes. And that's why the day is so long. It's because the kids' matches take that long, Yeah.
I can't even remember exactly what the fight times were for black belt anymore. I think was it 4? I think it's 4 and...
I think for the finals, it's 8 and 4. And then for the normal matches, there's 6 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, I'm 30. Well, when was? Yeah, I'm 38, so I just did the Masters division. I'm old as fuck now, but I remember there was 5 people signed up. So I just thought, oh, I'm gonna get a couple of matches, great. But by the time I got there, there's only 3 people in the division. So I had one Malaysian black belt and the guy from India that was a purple belt, basically.
Yeah.
And I was hoping for at least 2 matches, but then I ended up getting the bye. So in the finals, I ended up with an 8-minute match.
Oh, right.
Straight into an 8-minute match.
Oh, straight into the finals. Yeah.
And you're not allowed to pull guard, right?
Yeah.
But then So when I saw the Malaysian guy in his first match, he pulled guard immediately. So I was just like, okay, he's going to try and pull guard and footlock me. But in the finals, obviously, if you pull guard, you get a penalty, right? So then we're moving around a little bit. He just kind of, he keeps on sticking his leg out to me. I'm like, okay, you want to play guard?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, I mean, that's the first time I'd done the ADCC rule set, and I like it. I don't mind it. I don't mind the some of the ways that you can like skirt the
kind of
rules
gamify everything a little bit, right? Yeah. I actually really enjoy the ADCC rule set. The only thing I would say is maybe shorten the kids matches.
Yeah, I mean, I did not watch it. I was downstairs in the hotel room, but no, I didn't see the kids.
Because we did this. I run this thing called Siam Cup in Thailand as well, which is kind of like a regional competition. And I remember prior to me being involved with AJP, a couple of nights before, once the registrations closed, we used to spend hours on smooth comp trying to work out how to do the divisions or how to do the brackets and stuff like that, because you've got to slide people into the certain brackets, right?
Oh.
And I was trying to figure out what the best way to do it was, because sometimes there's conflicts in the gi and the no gi divisions or the kids divisions. So let's say someone's doing a division on mat number 5, but they're getting called up onto mat 2 to do the no gi match and stuff like that. So it's not
smart enough to do all that stuff by itself?
No. The smooth comp system, you've got to so you've got this one bit where you have all the different divisions, and then you have to click and slide them over. So quite recently, the beta system made it easier to do it.
Yeah.
But then AJP uses the same system on their own website. So what's really handy is when they did all the brackets themselves, and the last time that I organized the competition, when I saw how they organized all the mats, it made way more sense. And plus, they don't have absolute divisions either. So everything's really streamlined.
This is the
AJP. Yeah. So basically, they do all the kids on all the mats. So if you think about it carefully, if you can get rid of the kids within the first half of the day, get them on the podium, all the parents, all the kids just piss off, right?
Yeah.
So then you can concentrate on the adults. And then I don't know if you noticed, but quite a lot of the higher belt matches, they're usually smaller divisions. So if you get them out of the way after the kids divisions,
like the pro, direct,
because your match was midday, right? Basically,
no, it wasn't. It was later in the day. So that's what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Because they told me that I had some guys do the ADCC Open also in Bangkok early in the year, and they were it was kids and then pros first, and then down the line go down. But I think I don't know. I mean, I have no idea why, but I think they switched it. So it was lower belts first, and the pros were coming after.
Yeah.
I was supposed to fight 6 o'clock, I think.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know, it's just got pushed forward really quickly, and I was I think it ended up being 4:30 or something like that.
Ah, right, okay. But after watching how AJP set up, I just thought, okay, this is way more streamlined. And if you put absolute at the bottom, right, most of the people that do all their matches and sign up with the absolute, they're usually too tired to do it. So you get a lot of people quitting or just not bothering. So then it's all done very quickly. So, So I remember one of my partners did the brackets the night before. He spent 6 to 8 hours trying to set up the brackets, and I just said, you know what, fuck it, I'll show you how to do it. So I just said, do this, and then everything went really smooth after that. Yeah. So just get the kids out the way first, and then everything else kind of sorts itself out.
Yeah, I mean, fuck, it just sounds like that is probably the reason why I wouldn't want to do any of the organizing for Dawn. It sounds
after a few times, it's not too bad. It's more the worst part about it is usually the kids. Usually, that's the worst part. Really? It's not the kids.
No, but the organizing. Yeah.
It's the parents that are the worst.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because they're the ones that usually shout and complain if the refs make a bad call.
I saw a guy in the AC's champ. There was a dad that was ripping it to Shinya. And they was they were gonna fight. And I felt like they were gonna fight. It was I was preparing for my fight. I was what the fuck is going on here? I'm trying to get them. I was it was hectic.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I'll never ref matches. For AJP, they actually get a lot of people to just do the refs course, just because so you understand how the rules and stuff like that go.
Yeah.
And it's always good to learn the rules, especially because like AJP is a little bit different, right? It's 5-minute matches.
Yeah. I didn't realize how different it was until I did that last comp this year. I was like, I didn't know.
Yeah. And I'll definitely do the refs course for ADCC when it comes in on the 10th of May as well.
Yeah.
Right. So before we finish, I just wanted to quickly ask you: is there anybody that you'd like to thank?
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm just, especially this time of the year, just being a little more like grateful of some of the things that's been helped by people that have helped you out. And
Shut up.
sorry, I'm like slowly getting down to here.
No,
I'm getting comfy.
honestly, that's what was that guy's name again? Oh, Ben Rawl. That's what he was like as well. He's got really bad posture. But throughout the entirety of the video, he's just like...
I'm just getting more comfortable, yeah. Yeah, just like really grateful at the moment for, of course, like my partner, supporting, like without her, I wouldn't move to Hong Kong. Really just looking back at the team at the moment as well, like some of the coaches that I've got, like Soon and Liam, the training partners, and just like really great, like where the gym is going at the moment. It's really good. Like I love like just the environment and just people training around me. So just happy where things are going at the moment.
Yeah.
Just everyone that's around me with like coaches and people helping me out, some of the higher belts, just all the students as well. Yeah. So I'm just really, I'm in a good place at the moment with where the gym is at and where.
Yeah, you guys seem to be thriving.
Yeah. I think first of all, I mean, I'm liking where the comp guys are going, just the general environment. Everyone's like sort of pretty cool. And so just happy where things are at the moment.
Awesome.
Yeah.
All right. No problem. Thank you very much.
Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
Yeah. Definitely want to come down and train some more with you guys.
Please do.
Yeah.
All right.